The title of my message this morning is called, Can You Imagine? And I want to focus it towards maybe the younger people and maybe the younger at heart. So if you're under 120 years of age, I invite you to listen along. And I entitled it, Can You Imagine? Because I want to try to put something in your minds, well, you'll hear what I have to say in a second. I want you to imagine an outhouse. We've all been there. We've all been at a baseball game, or we've been camping, and there's only one place to do our business, and it was cleaned, well, never. And it's been sitting there for years and years. And so what I want you to imagine is just, you want to hold your breath and run away, hyperventilate, hold your breath for a bit, run in there, and even then, you know it's not enough because your clothes are kind of dissolving off you, your skin is changing color, and it's just not a pleasant thing. Okay? So now I got that in your mind's nose. Okay? Imagine that this was the only smell we ever knew. We were born in a place that's all there was. And we didn't know better. It was just awful, and we just had to endure it all our lives since we were little. So now imagine that we were just teleported out of that environment to the cleanest, freshest air in, say, Hawaii, where there's fresh herbs and flowers, and nobody's allergic to them because they're all natural, right? So we can all enjoy them. And just, wouldn't it be fair to say that if we didn't know that smell our entire lives, would it be fair to say that maybe we wouldn't really be able to truly imagine what it's like to smell that? So I'd like to maybe compare that to something I think that is quite real to compare with, the real world that we live in. We are living in a world with an adversary. Peter tells him that he's a roaring lion and he wants to just devour us, eat us up. And this adversary wants to stop at nothing to stop us, especially fulfilling the plan of God. So I'd like to read a little bit in Ezekiel 28. And we've been there. I've listened to sermons, quite a few in the last few weeks. We've been in Ezekiel 28 a lot. But I'd like to pick it up in verse 12. It says, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus. Thus says the eternal God, you seal up the sum. That's another way of saying, you are my masterpiece. This is the sum. This is the best creation I've done so far. You've sealed up the sum. You're full of wisdom. I'll stop there because I wanted to hold on to the word wisdom. So this being was absolutely wise and a perfect and amazing being. Verse 15, I'd like to read a little bit in verse 15. Says, you were perfect in the ways from the day you were created. Perfect. Until, now eons of time might have passed. Of course, time doesn't have any meaning in the spirit realm. But it could have been moments, it could have been eons. I prefer to think it was probably took forever, took a long, long time. But something happened, iniquity was present in this wonderful being, and all that wisdom was turned. And imagine the enemy that wisdom can be turned if it is joined to the enemy side, the dark side, if you will. I'd like to read a little bit in Revelation 20, because I do have some good news. Revelation chapter 20, it says, I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Now, when I think of chain, we're talking about a man named John who has a vision, and he's holding this chain. Now, it's either going to be symbolic or it's going to be physical or spiritual. But really the point is, what does this chain actually do? He laid hold upon the dragon, the angel did, that old serpent, which is the devil, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, this abyss, and shut him up. Then it says something that I want to focus on just for a little bit. For all the young ones out there, who knows who Clark Kent is? What's Clark Kent? Just anybody. Superman, right. And what is Superman, what can he do that the rest of us can't do? He can fly, yeah? What else does he? What other powers does Superman have? X-ray vision, right. That's exactly what I want to actually talk about, is his X-ray vision. If you put him in a room, he just uses his X-ray vision. He's also very strong, too, so that if he was bound in a chain, he could just break out of it. So think of Satan the devil. If he's thrown into this pit, he could be bound in chains, but he has X-ray vision. If he still has that radio transmitter connected to him, in Ephesians 2, I'm not going to go there, but it says that Paul says he is the prince of the power of the air. He still can see us. So in Revelation 20 and where I was reading off, in verse 3, it says, "Set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years is fulfilled." Now, brethren, we are here today picturing that 1,000 years. Satan was put away, and I think we all believe that happened on the Day of Atonement. And it made possible for this wonderful utopia type of planet. That stink that Satan has broadcast all around us will be gone for real. We can imitate that in the 7 days that we have, right? But it's not going to be the same thing. So can you imagine, try to imagine what it would be like without that pull? It's kind of like a shopping cart or a car that has that wheel that just wants to pull you one direction. Well, every thought that we have, there's always this pull to try to make us do something that we don't want to do or ruin our great mood. So we are living, we are celebrating as we are commanded to do. And God does say to celebrate this feast. We're here to learn, of course, but we are definitely commanded to celebrate. You look that up all throughout Exodus and Leviticus. These 7 days of enjoying our fellowship, and try to imagine what it's like, because how wonderful of a time that is going to be.